What's going on, guys? The Heart Pirates TCG here. I'm bringing you a new tier list based on the new format that's coming out. Obviously, if you don't know and have been living under a rock, that the Newgate deck has been pretty much obliterated, as at least the version that we know it. Maybe a version of Strawbeard will appear, but I'm going to give you the tier list that I believe will be pretty accurate, you know, at least for the remainder of OPO 3 and going into regionals and treasure cups and all that. So just keep this in mind whenever you're deck building and figuring out what deck you want to play. So tier 1, I only think there are 2 decks that are tier 1, and the best one being Law, and then the second one being Zoro. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Well, I mean, probably no one thinks this, but they made the hits to Radical Beam and Newgate to basically eliminate Zoro's like threat to being dangerous in all 3 facets of the game, early, mid, and late. However, that really didn't do anything. Zoro can just pivot to another version of himself that is also really good. So Zoro is going to be good regardless. He's also going to have a pretty good matchup into Law too, because his ability to play Fire Fist, which I'm pretty sure all of them are going to be playing now, at least as a 2 of, which really hurts Law. And then Law, I think, is the best deck overall. It just has a higher skill ceiling, and a higher floor, and a much lower floor too. So when people pick up Law and aren't good with him for the first week, they're going to give up Law and play Zoro. So you're probably going to see more representation with Zoro, but I think the best players are going to be on Law, and the best Law players will more than likely beat the best Zoro players, if that makes sense. So 2 tier 1 decks right there. And then 1.5, this is actually it's actually a little bit more healthy than I thought. So we're going to go ahead and put 1.5. We're going to put, let's see where they at. We're going to put Smoker in there along with his counterpart, Lucci. Where's he at? Right there. I couldn't find his alt art on the pictures for some reason, but and then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna talk. Let me talk about them real quick first. Okay, so Smoker, his ability to just swing 7 almost every time against the best decks in the game. So Katakuri, Law, and Zoro both have 1-drops that we like to play, and then they'll probably just stay on the field forever. So he'll have the same effect that Katakuri has, essentially, where 1 Dawn equals 2,000 power. So the thing is, like, they have access to cards that can't be KO'd by effects, which is great. You know, Borsalino and Fukuro, and the 5/7 Smoker that, you know, threatens double strike is actually really good into both these matchups as well. Even better into Zoro. So like, they have good cards, and honestly, people get better with Lucci and Smoker every single day, it feels like. So I think those decks actually will see a lot of representation. I think they're also pretty good too. Same with Katakuri. Katakuri actually is insane. Katakuri is honestly is better than both these decks, in my opinion. Let me put it in there. Okay, thank you. So Katakuri has a bad matchup into Law, but a decent matchup into Zoro, depending on the variant of the build. And it has a better matchup into Smoker and Lucci than you might think, because yes, we can't get rid of their blockers, but they have to get rid of a lot of cards to get rid of our cards. For example, like our 10-drop Big Moms, like the second they hit the field, their damage is done. You know, like if you want to waste cards to get rid of one, like, or that's perfectly fine. So it just feels like it's an onslaught, and I wouldn't say it's like a demolish, you know, but like I would say it's 60-40, something around there for Katakuri into the black matchup. And then it just depends on how many Law players there are, because Katakuri just really struggles to get rid of those blockers, and it just loses tempo pretty quickly to Law and like advantage, honestly. So we'll see how many Laws are in the meta to see how many Katakuris will be in the meta, but Katakuri is actually being gatekeeped by Law right now too. So next in the 1.5 category, we're gonna go ahead and put Ace. Ace has access to Seaquake, he has access to Fire Fist, he has access to Flame Emperor if he ever needs it. Ace has access to a lot of really cool cards. He's also a red leader, which obviously is really good. But the thing is, Ace has great matchups into the top 1, like these tier 1 decks. Ace actually has a good matchup into both of them, and that actually makes him very dangerous. So he's going to be somewhere in this tier 1.5. He just hard loses to Katakuri. I'm not really, I haven't seen a lot of like Lucci into Ace matches. Like, I think maybe it can go 50-50. I'm not sure. But yeah, he has a great matchup into the 1s, and not so great matchup into the 1.5. So it really just depends on how many you see in the tournament. Like that's what I think is really unique about this 1.5 category right here. Then we're gonna go ahead and put Nami in here. Nami is just like, she is one of the, okay, so I was talking about this with a friend of mine at locals yesterday, and there are only 2 decks that when they draw the cards that they need to draw, there's literally nothing you can do, and it's Nami and it's also Newgate. Now Newgate obviously not as much anymore, but those decks, when the player draws how they should draw, you literally can't win. The opponent cannot win, and that's why the deck is scary. And I'll put it at 1.5 is because I've seen it beat Zoros, like I've seen it beat Katakuris, I've seen it beat Lucci's. Like it just doesn't really have a bad matchup because it just can, like, it doesn't revolve around like giving your opponent cards, and like there's not a lot of counterplay to it. So like Nami's insane. I really think it's good. I think a skilled pilot of Nami, I know a skilled pilot of Nami will actually do pretty good in tournaments if they draw how they should draw. That makes sense. No other deck can say that other than Newgate, more than likely. So let's talk about Newgate here. So I think Newgate is going to be in Rogue because I think people for some reason just love the deck. I don't understand why. And there's going to be just new iterations of it. It's probably going to be the Straw Hat version. It's not going to be as powerful though, because just Marco is very good, but then now they have access to Guard Point and Chopper and all of that. So it's going to be in Rogue. I don't think it's going to be 1.5. I think it's still going to be like, people are still going to try to hold on to this deck just like they do Luffy right here. But yeah, so Newgate, it's probably going to be strong still, but not as strong and not as good into other matchups. And definitely going to be worse into the top 2 matchups. So next we're going to talk about Luffy. Luffy's going to be Rogue too. Like I said, these people just like won't let these 2 decks die, and just find new ways of like playing into it. Like they're going to play like the Whitebeard version, or like, you know, like the control version. There's a lot of different versions, and like one's going to sneak in somewhere. So next let's talk about Rogue. We'll probably put Magellan in the same breath as there. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's better or worse. I'm not sure about that, but Magellan, he's still scary into some of these matchups. Like he's really good into black because he can throw them off curve, and if they kill him, then they're even more off curve, and like they'll never get to their Isho or their like big guys. Even Sakazuki is like not as good. And then like he has a decent matchup in a Katakuri too. He can put a lot of pressure on the field that way. Not as great of a matchup. And then obviously Ace, he probably loses too. So like he can do some cool things. He can, you know, combat the board with Zoro because he can play Little Sadie and like a Minotaur or something like that. So he can like get cards on the field pretty quick too. So he's in Rogue, and he'll sneak in somewhere too. Same with, let's see, I think Not Yet. Arlong is going to be Not Yet. Kuro is going to be Not Yet. Ivankov, I don't think will just Not Yet either. Let me just go ahead and knock out the Not Yets. Blurple Kaido, Z. Let me talk about Z real quick. Actually, no, I'm going to make a video about Z in a little bit, so I'll talk about Z in another video. Blurple Croc, Not Yet. So these 5 are just not, it's just not their time yet. I think there will be a time where they will be good at some point, or at least playable, but just not yet. Dofi, we're going to go ahead and put in 1.5 as well. Dofi, in my opinion, just hard loses to Katakuri. However, he can trade with Smoker pretty well, and Ace pretty well. He does lose, in my opinion, to Zoro and Law, just because they can out-tempo him. There's nothing wrong with Dofi in particular. I think he's a solid deck that, you know, can do some good things. It's just not that consistently great. Same with Crocodile. I definitely think Crocodile got a little worse. In fact, I'd be willing to, no, I'm gonna keep him there. I'm gonna keep him there because Crocodile does lose to like super hard tempo, but like Crocodile has an incredible matchup into these 2 decks, the black decks right here, and then honestly the Ace deck too, because he can bottom deck the Marco. So like actually Crocodile is, in my opinion, better than Dofi, and I believe it's the best of the blue decks right now. Crocodile, especially next set too, he's going to be absolutely insane with the Red Rock. So yeah, Crocodile can still stay in 1.5. He's still going to be pretty good. Rogue is, I'm gonna go ahead and put Kid in there as well. Kid, there's just different versions of him playing like film and you know, like all these like, you know, double strike, like, you know, restand leader, swing for 12, you know, 12-12, that type of thing. Like there's still versions of Kid, especially with Yamato with the double strike, that can do some cool things. You're not gonna see it a lot. When you do see it, it's gonna be a little scary and you're not gonna be prepared for it. So just keep that in mind. So if you guys agree with anything or disagree with anything, let me know. I think this is actually a pretty good list. You know, I did make some pretty bad lists in OPO1, but I just didn't really know the game as well back then. I learned a lot about the game, and I think this is actually, from what I know about One Piece, I think this is going to be the standard for the next month or two, you know, whenever set 4 comes out. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.